Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Campfire, the first is 12, 15 of these, but the last one in March, just before Abuja went on its own lockdown, was we were supposed to host one with amazing speakers in the month of March. Then Antirona hit, and unfortunately, just we couldn't kick it off anymore till now. So I'm really really excited about starting over, having my friend Salem speak as well, but just also getting to meet every one of you. Just to confirm, can everyone hear me? Good. Okay. So if this is your first time, we started Campfire. I launched a creative. I work with a creative. I founded a creative technology company called Fireworks, and when we started in 2016, just breaking into Abuja can be hard for creatives. Um, some people say Abuja is cliquey, but we know it's community driven basically. So we wanted to actually launch. We wanted to host a festival, but who is going to the festival? So we said, okay, what we'll do is we'll start mini monthly events. And by God's grace, we're able to host about 15 invited people from different spheres of business and creative spaces, just coming to share their stories. And that was the other thing. We wanted stories that connected with people. Just putting it out there, what's the one thing you hear when you ask a Nigerian successful person how they got to where they were? What's the traditional answer? Now, God. Do you understand? Yeah, and yes, country we believe in God, but come on, that's not the entire story. We know that, right? Um, it's important that African entrepreneurs, Nigerian entrepreneurs, we document our stories. It's good in our generation, millennials and zillennials or Zoomers. um, we see a little bit of that, right? People telling their stories of their highs and their lows, which is amazing. Um, so what we wanted to do with Campfire is one to document stories of people that are building things, the highs, the lows, but also to connect with people that are starting and to form that network in the creative space, in the entrepreneurship space in Abuja. So welcome once again. We'll start properly. We'll have our guest come up to and speak. So the format will be I will ask him questions. He will share stories. So the format will be I will ask him questions. He will share stories. Not high table. So anybody can come and sit here. But should we leave it for latecomers? Yeah. Nobody wants to be close to Salem King. The splash zone. You think about it, okay? Anyway, I wanted us to do something just before we start fully. Can you remember what your mindset was like this time last year? Just flashback. Remember, all of us were the world was going to end. Uh, Bill Gates was Lucifer or the Antichrist. You guys remember, right? So I want, just for the sake of conversation and getting to know people, in as safe as way you that you can you just meet people around, introduce yourself, and just share something, what you've learned between May of 20 BC, 2020 BC, before Corona, and now 2021 AC. I don't know if AC is the right. Should we do AV after vaccine? Okay, sorry. Some of my friends are disappointed in me. You have a lifetime to be disappointed. Okay, so let's just do that because one of the essence of Campfire is not just so that you can listen to the person speak. Literally, we've seen people connect, start businesses together, form friendships, and I'm really hoping that in 10 years, I meet somebody at the airport and like, my wife and I, we met at one of your events. Do you understand? That's a great testimony, don't you think? Anyway, I know some of you are cringing. You have about 60 more minutes of cringe wordness. Okay. All right. Thank you. Can you just let's do that? Just introduce yourself to one or two persons. Tell them what you do, and then we'll start fully. Yes, no first time. You're encouraged to lead your seats. All right, everyone. Thank you. Okay, so we're just going to go straight into it. But before then, just want to see if we have some old timers here. If you've been in any campfire before, can I just see your hand? Awesome. First time? First time at campfire. Okay, great. Um, no, nothing for the first timers. We have Salem King for you. Okay, so we're just going to go straight into it. Like I said, I will moderate. I'll ask Salem questions, then we can now ask him questions later on. But yeah, just know Campfire is about networking, it's about learning, it's about community. Thank you very much. So I'm honored to call upon my friend, brother, I'm Famzin, obviously. Uh, he is a teacher, he is a community builder, um, creator, um, thinks he's funny. He is funny. Uh, TEDx Speaker, and the Future Awards nominee. Please, can we welcome Salem King Ibrahim? Yes. Welcome. Okay, so we'll just go to it. Usually, if for those of us that this is our first time, Campfire used to be about 3 speakers. We're honored to have one king, like Salem is sharing stage. No one. So I ask, is there a need for more introduction? We should just go right into it. Okay. So the question I usually ask, or at every event, the first question I ask is about, failure. What has failure taught you, or what have you learned about failure? What's the biggest thing that you've learned about failure?
I guess it's the fact that no one can escape it, right? And like, if you haven't failed, just keep living. And if you failed before, it's not the worst thing that can happen to you. I noticed that, like, there's a way in which you can fail at one thing in one area, like you pursue one project and it goes terribly bad, but everything you learn from how badly that went, you're able to apply to something else, like 5 years down the line, or 2 years down the line, or 6 months if you're lucky. And it just goes so well, like it just fits in perfectly, like that failure prepared you for something you didn't know you were preparing for. So there's something that I do sometimes when I have a really bad day, me and my manager, like when we have a really bad day or we plan to do something and it doesn't go as planned, we just laugh and be like, our story goes sweet there, because we've all lived long enough to know that there's so much that doesn't make sense in the moment of going through it. It makes sense looking backwards, and that's something that I've learned about failure. I still like it. You know how people be like, I love to fail, but I don't love to fail. Like, I hate it. Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Hello.
Oh, okay.
I lost my train of thought.
You hate failure.
Yeah, so that has remained the same for me over the years. I hate failure, but it doesn't really matter what you like or what you hate, It's what are you trying to do, and what do you have to go through to get the result you want. And failure is just one of those things. Yeah.
Okay. And you're absolutely right, I think let's just also even go to 2020. For most people, I won't say for everyone, for many people, last year was interesting. So many people lost loved ones, so many people lost businesses. What did the pandemic teach you about, what all that you do, being a creative, being a content creator, um, being an entrepreneur? What did last year teach you?
Last year taught me how important it is to adapt, and I think it taught everybody that. Yeah, but the level on which it was, what's the word now? The level on which it was memorable for me, or like was really important to me personally, was I learned how that it's important to be able to move on fast, right? And when I say move on fast, we only talk about moving on from like negative stuff, right? When something bad happens to you, get up, move on fast. But this is like being able to move on from something that went well, right? Like we all need to be able to move on, because the dynamic of business everywhere in the world changed because of COVID. Like there were entire industries that just did not exist anymore because of the pandemic, like travel, events, gone, right? So it was a situation where everybody was forced to like adapt in a way that even if there was something that was going so well for you, you had to move on from your attachments to how good you were at it. And then there were like luxury fashion brands that were now making face masks. Do you understand? And like we laugh, but that was not it's not a downgrade. It was them evolving, right? And there are many ways in which me too I had to evolve. Um, I'm an introvert, so I loved the evolution. I didn't have to go anywhere. I could do all my work online and all. But yeah, that was it for me. The fact that I had to evolve and move on from the things that had gone well. So like physical classes, events, like I was just starting to speak at events and then no more events. And everybody had to move on from their successes. Like I was good at this, people recognized me for this, but I can't do it anymore. What else can I do to continue to serve people, even if it's not this other thing that used to make my ego really huge? Yeah.
Profound. Okay, so just speaking about certain economies that disappeared, right? But we saw um, kind of like a rise in what is now called the passion economy or the creator economy. Of course, it's kind of always been there, but because everybody was now online or migrating, to the internet, so we saw a lot of people, we saw platforms rise up, we saw new celebrities, we saw new influencers and creators. E- Exactly. So this whole thing about the creator economy is something I've been learning and teaching about. For people that are here, that are probably in the position or are thinking of how to transition from a job they hate, or just trying to navigate the future. How can I make more money? Naira is crashing. Do you understand? All those things. How they've heard about these things, and how can they take advantage of the passion economy, or how can they take advantage of the creator economy?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think the first thing anyone would need to do is to not take it for granted, because there's so many people that took this industry for granted, and the millions of dollars that has entered creators' pockets in the past 1 year. But it didn't happen to people who were like, oh, there's money in this thing, oh, let's jump in. It happened to people who had been preparing for this and didn't know they were preparing for something, right? So they were like, when the pandemic hits, they were in the perfect position to like cash out properly, right? And so for anybody who's trying to get into this, I think it's important to first not take it for granted, to know that, oh, this is not just this thing that the kids have made cool now, let me jump into it. No, you're entering you're getting into something that will actually position your business differently than before. You're going to have to, if you're a business person, you might have to hire, right? Like hire other people who know what you don't know, and not just say, it's not to post. We go run them. You're not going to run nothing. You're going to run your business into the ground. So it's important to find people that understand what you do not understand about the landscape. Social media managers, influencers, creators, copywriters. There's so many jobs in this space, in this sphere, that you cannot afford to take for granted. Also, don't come in because this thing is now, how do I put it? Don't come in because it's a trend. Come in with a lot of clarity about what it is you want to achieve by being there. It's important for it to be a means to an end. Otherwise, two things will happen. You will get lost because it's so fast moving. Social media is so fast moving. At this point, this is just my opinion, but I don't even think people should call themselves social media experts. Because, you're an expert today, 6 months from now, do you understand? The algorithm is entirely different from what it was at the time when you were saying that you were an expert. And so come in knowing this is what I want to achieve. Social media, this creator space, it's a means to an end. It's important for you to be very sure of what your end is, because being a creator as its own thing is not a very healthy end, right? It's a healthy form of expression for somebody who's not a business person, or maybe you're an influencer, a freelancer. It's a good way to express, but over time it has to transition from expression to what am I trying to achieve with this? What other end? Because when I'm no longer a big thing, when I'm no longer popping, when I'm no longer having so many followers, what is it that's going to remain? What am I building, actually? Because social media is also like rented space in a lot of ways. Anything can happen. You can just wake up one morning and your account has been hacked and it's gone. Or you've been shadow banned. So many things can happen. So it's important that as you are there, this is why I am here. This is what I am trying to build. And you need to always be measuring to make sure that your presence on social media is building, is directing sales or whatever it is, or eyes or traffic to whatever the other thing is that you're building. So that's my suggestion.
Yeah, so I think I will just segue into that line of thought of building on platforms, because some people think it's just about gaining numbers. Do you understand? But there's something you do beautifully, which is community building. And I had this theory of, for you to build a community, you should kind of treat it like a village. So when I speak to people that ask questions about how to build an audience or build a community, and that's the thing, some people don't know the difference between an audience or a community. But the notion you spoke about, rented space, just for the sake of people here, can we just talk about that a bit? I was speaking to a friend of mine who is an artist, and I was telling him, say Spotify disappears, say Instagram disappears, how will you reach your community? I will want you to kind of speak on that and just share thoughts as well.
So something recently happened to a friend of mine. He's a musician. He's pretty big. He lost his YouTube channel. I didn't know that was possible.
With hundreds of millions
of streams. Yeah. I'm like, what? How do you lose your YouTube channel? And it's not like Instagram. If you lose your Instagram doesn't pay you, but YouTube pays you. They directly give you money. And then you just wake up one morning and it's not there anymore. So, and if you check, he now has a mailing list. All this stuff is strategic. Because ultimately what the commodity is in the social media space or as a content creator, the commodity is attention, right? And it's important to have top of mind awareness with people on more than one level. So I post my videos, for example, primarily on Instagram. I don't really like Twitter. I don't have thick skin. But I post my videos on Twitter and I run away because I know that if anything happens on Instagram, my videos are on Twitter. On Twitter, I don't really get a lot of engagement. So some days it's 50,000 views, then the next one can be 2,000 views. It's so unpredictable, yeah? But I prefer Instagram. Instagram is like predictable. But with all this, I have a mailing list. For example, I started a podcast at the beginning of this year. The podcast is only available to members of my mailing list. Now, like I said, because the commodity is attention, there has to be like levels that people, there has to be levels of attention and value that people get from you based on what it is they are investing as members of your community. So here's what I mean. My Instagram is free. Anybody can just open it from their phone. They get everything. My videos are free to watch. My podcast, you have to be a part of my mailing list to get access to that. So those people who have taken an extra step of commitment, it's easier for me to sell to them, right? Because they already want to listen to me. On Instagram, I'm not so sure. So it's important to understand that the commodity is attention, and you need to keep the attention of people on so many levels. Because ultimately, what you're trying to maintain is access to the hearts and minds of people. And platforms are fickle. Like, you can have it and you don't have it again. But one of the places that I am always sure I have the attention of a number of people is my mailing list. Because they are sending me emails, I'm talking to them. You know, it's not like DMs where you want to keep the messages short and all. In my email, people will send me like, oh my God. It's stressful. But I know if it's 200 people I have in my mailing list, those 200 people are 200 people. On social media, I have 30-something thousand followers. On a good day, I get 500 comments. Where is everybody else? Do you get? And to some people, I have really good engagement. But I have 30,000 followers. So there are people that have even 100K, and they don't even have 20 or 30 comments. You have to understand that, I'm repeating this again, the commodity is attention. You need people to hold on so many different levels, and don't expect everybody to be there. Find a way to give premium value to a small percentage of your audience. The way Seth Godin says, he says, find a way to focus on your smallest viable audience. He said to appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one, right? So even when you have an audience, it's important to know that the people that, out of my audience of 30K, the people that pay me money are less than 1,000.
Or the drama or whatever, right? Mark, Jack, whoever is building the next block, they can wake up and pack up. Guys, can you remember what Vine used to be around? The other day I remembered Kick. Yeah. Who can remember Kick? Big people on Kick, where are they now?
Only a few of them were able
Very
to transition
few from Vine YouTube and Kick. No, transition even to YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
The rest, they are on the ground level with us. Well, not. But yeah, so for people that are looking to get into the creator economy, honestly, it's not just a type of Salem King, right? I saw an online course on goat herding. I'm telling you, last night. She's making thousands of dollars. Goat herding. So it's crazy what you can do with the internet. Now I want us to speak about something about imposter syndrome.
Hack.
Have you ever faced something like that?
If you don't,
how do you overcome it? And yeah.
First of all, I don't think you overcome it. I think it overcomes you. Then you find a way to get back up. So just for the sake of, I mean, I know you guys are sophisticated and everything, but let's just define imposter syndrome for no good reason. So imposter syndrome is this thing where you feel like you're a fraud, and when you experience success, you feel like it happened by luck, and you cannot replicate it. So when you put out a piece of content, sorry, I'm speaking from a point of content creator because like that's all that happens in my brain. So you put out a piece of content and everybody's like, oh my gosh, I loved it. And you're just like, lies. You love it because you don't know about my flaws. You love it because you don't know that I procrastinated for 7 days before I could put out this post about how to stop procrastinating. And you just beat yourself up and you don't believe compliments. People, like, you could even be getting an award and you'd be like, they did not find this other person, that's why they're giving me because I'm in Abuja. So that's basically what imposter syndrome is, and it happens to everybody. But why I like imposter syndrome, not experience, I don't like experiencing it, I like the concept of it, is the fact that you can only experience imposter syndrome when you have experienced a level of success. So if you have imposter syndrome, if you feel like an imposter, it means you are in a good position, but you feel like you don't deserve the position. So the good part is you're in a good position to begin with. There are people that don't have imposter syndrome. They are not there yet. Do you understand? So you see that imposter syndrome is a high quality problem. I strongly believe that life is a series of problems. You cannot eradicate problems. The introduction of, the solution to one problem introduces another one. That's just how life is. If your problem is that I'm single, I want a girlfriend. When you have a girlfriend, you have new problems. You say, oh, I'm single, I want to get married. I don't like living alone. When you're sharing your space with another human being, you say you want... the point I'm trying to make is in every stage of life, there's problems. And the one thing we should be trying to do, rather than eradicating our problems, is to get to a point where we prefer our current problems, right? So we're constantly increasing the quality of our problems. Like, we can look back and say, okay, these were the problems I had. These are the problems I have. I prefer my current problems, right? Like, sometimes I miss when I had a job and I used to get monthly salary. Especially December last year, I was really broke. I'm like, man, that bonus will bang right now. But I didn't have any bonus. The only bonus I could get was the one I would get if I go and teach class. And I preferred my current problems. I don't want to go back to my job, but I just think about it like, but I prefer my current problems. And so, imposter syndrome is not going to go away. Like, you're going to keep experiencing it. It's going to keep happening. I got nominated for the Future Awards. I'm like, how come? Where did they find me? All those questions, stupid questions. I was nominated. You can't take it back. But why am I here thinking, how did I get nominated? Maybe because this one. Maybe, and you're trying to discredit your own self. Another thing about imposter syndrome I like, Seth Godin, puts it. Sorry. Father, not too far like that. I'm old. So the way he puts it, he says, if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, it's okay because you're an imposter. Because you're trying to do something that you've not done before. You're trying to be someone that you are not. You're an imposter. And it's okay that you're feeling imposter syndrome because you're sort of a fraud, right? Because if you start a business, and you've never had clients, when you're getting your first clients and you're telling him what you can do, can you really do it? So the client is really taking a chance on you. Do you understand? And you're also taking a chance on yourself. And with that will come a lot of negative emotions. And it's normal, right? So I think I've accepted that imposter syndrome doesn't really go away. If I learn that it does go away, I'll ask Jesse to invite me to Campfire so that I'll recant this statement. But at this point in my learning journey, this is how I feel about imposter syndrome.
Love it. So this is also making me think about something I learned recently. I don't know if you've heard about the Matthew effect.
No, I haven't.
So a sociologist basically theorized, actually from a saying in the Bible by Jesus, where Jesus said, to whom has much more will be given to him, and who has will be taken So basically, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So he tested this theory across this sociologist person, he tested it across different spheres and sectors and saw that it was true. Scientists that got funding for their research, they got funding because they were already successful. People got awards and opportunities for different things because they were already successful at what they were getting. And they tested it in education, and they saw that children of the rich were obviously they got richer and they had more opportunities in life because they were already at a point where they had the opportunity, they had the privilege, they had the advantage. So, but there is a way to beat it, right? So, as you started out where you just said your goal was not to, at least from what I can remember, your goal was not to get the future award, was not to, unless you want to confess now. No. But when you started in 2019, all you said you wanted to do was to put out a piece of content every day for 30 days. And you're doing this now. So clearly we can see an example of the Matthew effect working, right? What would you say about something like that, the Matthew effect, about people that have an advantage are getting more advantages, or are already opportune but they are getting more opportunities, right? For people that are here and are looking to probably start, or are experiencing imposter syndrome, or have slowed down or whatever, right? What will you say to something like that?
Yeah, so every time somebody tells me I can't start because I don't have this, I don't listen to them. Because I feel like you can't borrow. Right? So I strongly believe the thing. When I used to read that verse of the one that has more will be given to him, and the one that says the one that doesn't have what they have will be taken, I'm like, it's not fair. Like, it don't add up, But as I grew up, I understood that there's a sense in which we have what we need, but we have to become conscious of the fact that we have what we need to attract it. Right? So every now and then I tell myself that I have everything I need. I don't really have everything I need physically, but I believe that I have everything I need. So this is a perfect time for me to tell my story. Enough of the aspire to perspire. So a lot of people don't know this, but when I first started I didn't start making videos in 2019. I started making videos 2017-ish, and when I started making videos, I didn't have an iPhone. I had like a cheap Samsung phone, and I learned how to edit videos from YouTube. But when I would make videos on my phone and edit, I didn't like how they looked. It was not like the one I was seeing in the expo videos. So I kept putting them out, but I'd only put them on like my stories, Instagram stories, where they would disappear after 24 hours, no commitments, fantastic. Only like 20-something people would see it. It worked for me. And then at some point, I wanted to make the videos better. I don't know where the idea came from, but I now started to desaturate the video. So like I'll just take the saturation to 0. So the videos are black and white. And when the videos were black and white, the quality was still shabby, but it now looked artsy. You get like rain and stuff. It now looks like I knew what I was doing, And I kept putting out those videos. It was black and white. There was not that person that was making videos and putting them black and white, because nobody would think to put videos. Like, why would you get? Like, it was absurd. And I just kept doing that. And later on, when I saved some money, got an iPhone, it just kind of stuck. You get? So I'm like, okay, I'll just keep putting videos out in black and white. After that time, like 4 months after that time, was when I decided to make videos every day for 30 days. And all those videos were black and white. So it was like, this new kid on the block, his stuff is white and black. I did not have good phone. But people don't know that, yeah? And I don't feel like they have to know. I'll tell them now, God. But you guys are here, so you know this story now. And it just went on like that. I just kept putting out everything in white and black, and it was, I think it just worked for me, especially because of the kind of content I was putting out. And I was making them in my bedroom. I was living with my parents at the time, so you couldn't see the color of the wall or the color of my bed sheets. Just focus on my face and what I'm saying. So it worked, and I just kept doing that, and that's where I am now. So now, when creators come to me and they're like, "Oh, I don't have this, I don't have," and I tell them, "Does your friend have? Can you borrow from your friend for 30 minutes a week? Right? Is that something you can do?" Yeah. You don't have a ring light. Oh my God, interesting story. The ring light I started making videos with, I borrowed it from my friend. She just had a ring light and she wasn't using it as much. So I would borrow it every day, return it to her. That time I was doing 30 days. I would borrow it, return it to her. So after like the second week, she was like, "Omo, you're using this thing more than me. Just keep it." So I kept it. I was using it once in a while when she needed it, she would ask for it back. But I used that ring light till 2020. And it was borrowed. I'm not going to tell anybody. Do you understand? So when I say it now that, ask if you feel like you don't have, ask somebody. Use what you have. People feel like, easy for you to say, you have an iPhone, you're an influencer, you have 30,000 followers. But this has always been how I thought about content, and life. Like, use what you have. You want to make a video, you want to put it out, and you want it to be like MKBHD. Who are you kidding? Like, you release your first video and you want it to have 10,000 views. Who are you? Nobody cares. Like, literally nobody cares. When I was making those videos that I used to post on my stories, I used to get 20-something, 30-something people watch it. And I'll be honest with you guys here, I did not care because I just genuinely enjoyed making those videos. So it's so important to like enjoy what you do so that there's a certain level of satisfaction you get from the creative process. So you don't need it so much from the validation after. So in case the validation doesn't come, you were satisfied from like the creation of it. Like I remember times when I'll be watching my videos, still happens. Like I'm watching my video, I'm editing and I'm like laughing. And my siblings like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, this shit is so good. And I'm cracking up to my own content. That's why I said I think I'm funny. I'm funny. And that was it, because I legitimately enjoyed the process of like simplifying ideas and knowing, like before even putting out the video, like knowing that this is actually going to help someone in real life. That was where I got the satisfaction from. And I'll be lying if I said the validation is not nice. It's very nice to see people in your comment section, fire emoji. It's nice. Do you get bored? Like, there's so much more to it for me than all of that. I feel like I just talked too much.
No, it's good. It's good. Speaking about your content, what content can you remember that you put out that you just said, "I'm just going to post this, it's not going to bang," and it banged? Then, which one did you like, "This is going to be fire"? Two questions, you understand? So which one did you put out and like everybody's hating and you're like, "What?" Then the other one, which one, like, "I'm sure this will trend, like all the blogs will pick it up," and crickets? So if you can remember.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those. Like every now and then social media will shock me.
Yeah.
Right? It just keeps happening. But I think there's a post where I made like a carousel post. You know those posts where you post one and there are slides. The first page was how to make with working. And then all the slides were like empty. So that was supposed to be the joke, right? And that day, the idea just hit me. Normally I plan my content, but that day it just hit me. I'm like, I opened my phone, I created the post and I posted it. Then I dropped my phone. And then I came back like 15 minutes later and saw almost 200 comments. I'm like, are these people mad? This thing literally has no words. What is this? And I had been creating other pieces of content that were like really valuable and resourceful and full. But that one, everybody was just kicking in the comment section. Shocking. Then there's this other video I made. The title was "Why So Deep?" And basically that video was like dragging everybody that's always unnecessarily deep and complicated in their message, or like, who has time, who wants to burn mental calories. So I was so sure that video would like bang, and I just posted, it's like everybody was angry. And it was just basic. And I think I've had that over and over and over again. There's some videos I did last week. I don't remember the title, but I did part 1 and 2. I can't remember. But I didn't think it was going to do so well because I was just talking why you should post content you don't, even if you don't like it. And I posted a video and everybody's like, oh my God, I needed this. To be honest, like that thing cracks me up. Because I was just there like, you needed what? Like this thing. But I guess that has taught me that I am, in a lot of ways, I'm a poor judge of what my audience needs to hear from me. And you probably are too, right? So there's something my manager will always push me to do. Like when he says, oh, let's do an event, I'm like, people won't come. It's like, Salem, everybody's not you. You're thinking about them. They are not you. So there's a sense in which you're not perceiving your own value, but people are. There's a sense in which you're not validating yourself, but other people. And you're never going to find out what's really happening unless you put yourself out there. If you charge, you're not going to know how much you can charge until you actually charge. So it's a risk, but it's worth it because money is nice.
Yeah, so I hope you guys are learning. Do not type, I needed this on Salem's post. He's definitely laughing at you. Okay, so I want to speak on your relationship with Daniel. Daniel Ambosen is Salem's manager. And you guys, like, at least I've known you guys for 2-3 years together. And I've been seeing that same dynamic with creators or creatives and business people. Another example is Aproko Doctor and his manager, Daniel Emeka. As a creative as well, or a creative entrepreneur, I had to learn about business a lot. I have an MBA. I learned more about business, doing business, than the 18 months doing MBA. I can't remember anything from my MBA. But I find that a lot of creatives that want to transition from just being creative and birthing stuff, that want to make a living out of it. We don't know a lot. We have poor financial literacy. We don't know much about anything. So people like Daniel that enjoy these things, how did you come to that place where, oh, I need help, or I can't do this alone? Do you understand? And what, if you can share, what is happening between both of you?
Of course. So I think I always knew I was going to need at some point, but I thought I was going to have to learn. I thought I was going to have to, at some point, learn. Because this whole influencer, content creator thing, it happened to me, yeah? Like, I wasn't trying to be an influencer. I just said, oh, I like to put my thoughts out there. I'm going to do it every day for 30 days straight. My account started to grow, blew up, 1.5 to 10K in 6 months. And then from there, and then one time a brand reaches out and says, oh, how much do you charge for this? I'm like, charge? Wait, like, I can charge? Right? And then I realized, oh, I'm sitting on money. Okay. Let's take this seriously. And then I talked to some other content creator friends of mine. I'm like, okay, how do you people do this thing? I know Sabi. And then I just started to go from there. And at some point, I started to talk to Swish. I now have a business relationship with them, but they've always been a supporter since back then. So I was talking to the CEO of Swish one day, and he's like, Salem, you need a manager. I'm like, how much am I making? Like, where will I pay the manager? And he said, no, you're thinking too far. When I say you need a manager, I'm not saying you need like a record label type thing. I'm saying, do you have any friend that you've known for a while, that you trust and is good with business and wants to see you win? And immediately my mind went to Daniel, because I've known Daniel for I've known Daniel since SS1, and Daniel is that guy, right? Daniel is the guy you ask, what do you do? And he can't really tell you, but like he makes things happen. That's what he does. And so I hit Daniel up. I'm like, Daniel, this is where I am with everything. Will you be my manager? Says, let me think about it. And then when Daniel was coming back to me to tell me yes, Daniel came with a contract. I'm like, okay. This guy is serious. I'm like, which contract? We're friends now, we're guys now. Why? I was like, no, this is how we're going to do this. This is, we're friends, but this is business, and this is a way for us to also protect our friendship. We have to work together in this way. I'm like, okay, I made the right choice. Thank God. Because I wasn't even thinking contract, And having Daniel has helped me, think more business-minded. But now we have this type of good cop, bad cop thing going. So recently somebody asked me, if you, why do you work with a manager? Does that not mean you make less? I'm like, no. Here's what working with a manager does for me. So, for example, if I work alone and I'm able to make 100 naira, because what I'm good at is video creation, storytelling, content strategy, personal branding. Negotiation, I'm a nice guy. Do you get? So that's not one of my biggest skills. Writing proposals, back and forth, with corporate and stuff, not my biggest skills. I'll start to freak out. Right, so when me and Daniel started working together, so back to my explanation, sorry about that. So if by myself I make 100 naira, when I work with a manager, working with a manager increases my value because he's able to communicate my value in a way that I cannot. There's something we had a fight, not fight, but something he used to quarrel me about. Like when I would talk to a client and tell them what we're going to do for them, I used to make it look too easy because it was easy for me, right? Like everything I did, it comes naturally to me. So I'll just talk about it like it's, because I'm actually going to have fun doing it. But Daniel is like, we can't let them know you are having fun doing it. We're going to let them know you are working your butt off. Which in reality is a lot of work, but because it comes naturally to me, I'm just happy like a cartoon. But Daniel is like, no, we have to communicate, how much we're doing. This is what we're going to charge. And all. So that is like the front guy that will fight with you. This is my client. I cannot do this. My client. And when he talks to you like that, you're suddenly more, this guy that has manager. There's no pricing. There's no telling price that will be insulting, So all of that works in my favor. If I'm making 100 naira with a manager, I'm able to make 300 naira. So if I'm working by myself, the 100 naira I make, I keep all of it. If I'm working with a manager and we make 300, he gets a percentage of it, I get another percentage. But the percentage I get is more than 100 naira. Do you understand? So it's just nice. Nice was not a very good way to put it. But like when somebody reaches out to me for work, I'm like, oh, thank you so much for reaching out to me. Please speak to my manager. All of a sudden, my reps have gone up like this. Like people are just like, oh, okay. You don't expect influence to be professional, to be organized, or to like take business really seriously. And having Daniel helped me to take this as a business. Like he told me when we were going to start working, he said, I have one job to make sure that if any day you wake up and you cannot create anymore, and you're okay. And that you're everything is working out. Business-wise, you're okay. And we're not there yet, we're still working, we're still building, but I see us getting there, and I would not have gotten there by myself, because negotiation, financial management, all of that, I'm not the best. But these are things that come naturally to him. Like he likes to start projects and finish them. Me, I like to have ideas. So I just share these ideas with him. He will run with them. He will carry them out. He will call the people that need to be called, follow up on people that need to be followed up on, bully the people that need to be bullied. Me, once you bully me, I'm just like, sorry now. But he's always there to like, yeah. So that's the relationship we have right now. It's not, I don't have a manager because I have blown. I have a manager because we both find value in the work that I do, and it helps him, it helps me, and because of the work that me and him are doing together, he's doing more work now, like managing other people. He's not managing anybody on the level that he's managing me, but he's like doing his consulting, doing events for people. He'll say, oh, I did this for Salem, and you're like, oh, you're the guy that did this, you must be able to do this. So it's mutually beneficial for us both, and it works. Yeah.
Love it. I always enjoy speaking to Daniel, honestly. Is there any person that you are currently enjoying their content, be it podcasts, videos, just blog posts, but you're just like really enjoying home and abroad? Anybody?
This is going to be weird, but Dave Chappelle, he's
Okay.
a stand-up comedian,
Yeah.
and I appreciate the way he sees the world and how that he's able to infuse so many things into his comedy. So for me now, I'm a content creator, and that's what everybody thinks I am, and I'm fine with that. But I'm a lot of other things, and I may not come out and say I'm a this and a this and a that, but behind the scenes, I'm investing in all these parts of myself that now make me to be a more wholesome content creator when I'm out there, because my content is built on the wealth of all this knowledge and experience and things that I consume. I think I get that from Dave Chappelle. So he does comedy, stand-up comedy, and he'll make you laugh and all, but there's like stuff about social justice in the comedy, there's stuff about racial justice. He's standing up for so many so many factors and all. I just love how he communicates, basically, and how that he ties a story around. And he's still a comedian, and comedians are supposed to be jokers, but Dave Chappelle is anything but a joker. So yeah.
Just Dave.
Okay, now you're going to make me pull out the list.
Just two more.
Two more. Seth Godin.
Okay.
I think I quoted him like twice, so
Yeah.
I've given myself
obvious.
away. Yeah. Who else?
Even if it's just for entertainment.
Josh Too Funny. I think I really like
That's
Josh
my
Too Funny.
guy. Like, I love him.
Yeah, I love.
I love Josh, honestly. I think also, just thinking about Josh, I don't know if he knows how brilliant he is. The cast of characters that he's able to churn out, from my favorite Juga to Tunde Tupac to all the guys that come out for the auditions, but my favorites definitely Tunde Tupac and Juga. The character of Juga is so brilliantly. Sorry, I know this is about you, but like, Juga is so brilliant. I don't know, because we all know a Juga. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? We all know someone that lies, like blows. We all know someone, and he finds a way. How will you say Joe Biden's name is John Obidi? Anyway, that he grew up on your street. Okay. Josh Too Funny, Salem King. So, okay, what are you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, I like the way he's constantly evolving.
Yes.
And he's constantly creating new characters. It's like he's challenging himself. He's at this stage in his career where he can just decide to do the same thing every day and people would still watch. But he's an actual. Oh my gosh, Basket Mouth.
Okay, yeah.
I have to add that one.
Would you say he's our Dave Chappelle?
Yes. Except, yes.
Kind of.
Yes, on so many levels, but he's Basket Mouth.
Yes.
Basket Mouth has about 2 shows running at the same time on DSTV. Then he has like a number of YouTube series going on. He recently released an album. He's having live shows, and then he has this satire series that he's been doing. He's just the actual definition of a creative,
Yeah.
like a creative genius. And for each of them, he has sponsors like Godwin.
Yeah.
There's Malta Guinness. There's every project he's working on, he has sponsors, and he's just constantly putting out stuff. He's working like he's upcoming.
And Basket Mouth and Josh actually explained the Mandela effect, because if you guys can remember, All My Guys Are Ballers, it got viral the second time. It got, well, should I say verification? It got viral globally the second time, 2 years after he actually made that content. Like NBA players were making content with All My Guys Are Ballers. Russia, do you understand? So that idea of just keep putting out stuff, you don't know what will blow.
Yeah, you don't know. And the beautiful thing is, like, you can't use up creativity. Like, the more creative ideas you execute, the more creative ideas you will have. Like, because I go on somebody like Lassisi's page. You remember the way he blew up that first time?
Yeah.
It was like, that time he did that little pothole, yeah, swerving. And I was just looking at this guy, like, this guy is going to run out of stuff to talk about. I beg. Like, I give him.
Actually said that, yeah.
I said it. Like, I was so sure it wasn't sustainable. Like, the whole big mouth thing. Like, he will run out. And this guy has been going for like 2 years. I'm like, how does he come up with all this stuff? But I now realize that the more creative ideas you execute, the more, like, and every now and then, you're going to put out a piece of content that nobody's going to care about. But there'll be like some of them, as you just keep posting. Apart from All My Guys Are Ballers, Josh Too Funny also had Don't Leave Me Challenge. It was global.
Yeah.
Like the white people spoiled it, but it was global, Yeah.
Yeah, I have this idea where I tell myself, if I have funding, I'd like to see Juga spending and what are their names? Spending Sinzu, not Anayo, but spending Sinzu, Juga, like in the same scene. That would be crazy. Anyway, let's move on. So we'll soon start asking Salem questions, but I just really want us to talk about community building. Lastly, the difference between audience and activity. My theory is, or what I tell people is, think of it as a village, right? When you're building a community, it's a village is a group of people that have shared values, shared vision, shared interest, right? And whoever is leading seeks to provide value for the entire village, for the entire community. So businesses, brands, creators should think of not building followers, but communities where they are providing value for them. So can you just speak a little bit about that community building? Then we'll start asking questions.
Yeah. So this is one of the most interesting things I learned on the journey of becoming a creator and an influencer. Constantly learning and like recording everything I've learned, and community was the thing that really blew my mind. So every now and then, when I put up a post on Instagram, I always include a call to action. Like at the end, I'll ask something like, "Oh, these are my thoughts. Yada yada yada. What are your own thoughts?" And then that gets people talking, right? So there was this day when I didn't type a long caption. All I wrote was, "What's bothering you?" That was the caption. And then people started to reply. My plan was, once people started to tell me what was bothering them, I would, encourage them and tell me, "Oh, you got this," and stuff. But it's like I just give everybody microphone. Like a few minutes, there were hundreds of comments. And just going through the problems, I became overwhelmed myself. Like, Jesus, where do I start from? Who sent me work? I don't want to know what's bothering me. Like, but it was too late. And I just put my phone away. And then when I picked up my phone a little later, I saw that members of my community were replying themselves. Like, it was happening organically. I didn't ask anybody to do anything. The only thing I said was, "What's bothering you?" I saw that other people were going through the comment section and responding to people and encouraging them and telling them, "Oh, this is your problem. Send me a DM. oh, this is, do this. And they were helping each other, and I was just there. So that was the first time I kind of came to terms with the fact that, like, maybe just a catalyst. Maybe this isn't even about me. I'm just the guy that creates the atmosphere, and then people can just function. They're sort of like Campfire. And I now, you can clap for him. Okay, that's enough. So that's when I realized, it kind of reiterated, kind of emphasized something that I had learned before, and it's the fact that community is a survival need. Like, it's deep.
Hold that thought. You're so right. I want us to use NSAS as a case study, because individualism has been preached to the world that you are on your own, you can make it by yourself, do you understand? Then what we saw, like, because I was already theorizing about community building as a village and build a village for like a year, but I'd never really, but what NSAS made me see was, I don't know if you're a pro of 4, I'm just using what happened as a case study. We saw young Nigerians gather, regardless of their faith, ethnicity, and age, and for 2 weeks, they moved the needle. I ate shawarma at a protest ground. I don't know who was at the beggar. Thank you. Shawarma. Honestly. Came to protest police brutality. And we ate shawarma. We ate shawarma. And we saw that happen, and unfortunately, what happened on 20th October kind of like dashed dreams and hopes of many people. But for me, I saw that honestly as a catalyst to even do more. Like, we should go and build our own villages. So like here, how can we encourage one another? The truth is, not all of us will japa. Not all of us. They'll bounce some of you. Do you understand?
Saying God forbid.
Yeah, but it's the truth. You understand? But or for those of us or those of you that have decided to, I'm going to stay in Nigeria and make things work. How do we move the needle? How do we make progress? So community building, individualism is a lie of the devil. Do you understand? We exist in communities. We grow in communities. So I just wanted to point that out and use NSAS as a case study.
Yeah, and like, this isn't like, it's not new knowledge. Like, there's old research that shows that community is actually a survival need. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Basically, he lines up human needs based on their importance for our survival, and basically these are needs that if you don't have, it reduces the chances that you want to be alive if you don't die. So the first on the list is physiological needs, which is food, water, and stuff. The second is safety needs, to know that safety and security, to know that you have a place to live, you have covering and stuff. The third, there's 5 needs. Third, Google the remaining 2. The third is on that list is community, a sense of belonging that we get from family, from friends, or romantic relationships. Everybody needs that. Beautiful thing is now social media is now that village in a lot of ways. It's the reason why you see somebody you follow talk about something they struggle with, and because of that you follow them, because of how strongly the story resonates with you. I don't think we realize how strong it is, the concept of following somebody. It's like you see one post from somebody, and because of how much you resonate with that one thing they say, you follow them, you subscribe to everything they will say in the future. You don't even know what they are going to say. It's a big deal, right? And all of that because you resonated with something. So like, community is a survival need, and if you're building a business or building a following or a creator, it's important to take into account the fact that there's a certain validation or connection that people are not finding in their families or in their, wherever they hang out, that they're finding on your page. That was one of the weirdest things for me. Like, I stopped taking it for granted when people would DM me or something, because I knew it was serious for them. It was not just a joke. They were finding connection, they were finding community, they were finding a sense of belonging, especially in the creative space. If you're in Nigeria and you're creative, there's a huge chance your parents do not like that you are a creative, right? Like, they sent me job link. They still send me job link like weeks ago. NMPC is hiring. Like, and because they still feel like what you have is not a real job and you need to get a real job. And on some level, they're trying to protect you. But it's important to now spend time with people that see your value and are not trying to change you. People who see what you have and who nurture it and who point it out and emphasize your strengths, right? And that's where communities is survival need. Otherwise, your creativity will die. Your willingness to pursue the things that make you happy will die if you're spending, all this time with people who don't see it. So community is really important. When you are, I think I should also answer this. I feel like some people might have the question, like, how do I build a community? Every time someone asks me that question, the first thing I say is, join a community. Yeah. Don't build a community, join a community. When you need to build a community, And community building is not opening WhatsApp group and putting people inside. Because that's what people think. Some people are like, oh, I want to create a community. I'm like, that's not how it works. Communities form around impact, not intentions, right? So it's after you've impacted a lot of people, like, found ways, and it's beautiful because you join a community. While you're in that community, you can begin to impact people, right? To become the most resourceful person, and you're just the guy that everybody knows to ask when they need help or something. From there, you understand how communities work. You function within a community yourself. I'll always give credit to a community that helped me in my early stages with Everything Now Art. I don't know if you guys know, please check out Everything Now Art or Tribe Called ENA. That really helped me early stages of my journey. That's where I met a lot of the creators that I still have a connection with, even now. So my community has become that for some people, and I hope that they go ahead to build their own communities. And yeah.
Awesome. Can we just appreciate Salem? Thank you. Is the other mic working so that we can ask questions while people are putting for their questions? What do you think about Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces?
Okay, so I'm going to give my biased answer, and then I'll give you a general answer. Okay.
You can just raise your hand then. Anyone? Okay.
I don't do very well with social media where I cannot put edited stuff. Clubhouse is real time, so I don't even go there that much.
Oh, yeah, I've been in some rooms and you did well, though, so.
Thank you. I think they are going to compete. I don't think Twitter Space is going to end Clubhouse. Because there's a sense in which when Clubhouse started, people created something out of it. People created a following on Clubhouse that they may not be very easily. They won't be able. God, English. They won't be easy. They won't. Hey. They wouldn't be able to easily move.
Okay.
That following to Twitter.
Yes.
Right. Twitter definitely presents a huge disadvantage for Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And if you say there's no disadvantage, I think we're just being dishonest. It's a huge disadvantage, especially because Twitter Spaces came out for Android before Clubhouse.
Yeah. Just rolled out.
Twitter just did them like this. Yeah. So there's a huge disadvantage, but I think they're just going to compete, to be honest. Yeah.
I honestly thought, initially I thought Clubhouse was going to die, but now I just, like you said, I think they will compete, and because there's actually thriving community on Clubhouse, and I think because of the way it is, I don't know, but the nature of social media, Divine is here today, gone tomorrow. Kick is here today, gone
We're also
tomorrow.
we're going to have to give it time again.
Yes.
We can only predict, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think one thing is certain, that social audio is going to continue.
Telegram has introduced
And Twitter
Audio
DMs,
too.
audio.
yes,
Yes.
there's audio everywhere. Why do people want to listen to other people's voices so much?
Okay. Thank you. So you just tell us your name, what you do, then your question. Yes. Yeah. Okay. They asked me to tell you to stand so that you can be on video. So,
Good evening, everyone.
here. Okay.
Okay, sure. My name is Samuel Sichuku.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm a lawyer by profession, but I am a speaker. I love to write. Then I do spoken word poetry when I feel like it. Yeah. But I'm also a very big fan of Salem. I started following when he had 1.5 followers. I saw when he blew, I was like, whoa. Really. And just to say, I'm not, okay, well, if I'm farming, I don't think it's a crime. I'm a big fan because I saw the growth. I saw how he evolved, and, you know, and you're doing an amazing job. In fact, the girl I'm currently chiking is a fan of yours too. So,
My hand no deal.
so when we're talking today, I said I'm coming to see Salem. You're like, yeah. So maybe I'll take a selfie with you. You know. So okay. So that said, what I like to do besides the archetypal practice of law is I love to, you know, talk to law students. I go to schools. You know, I train them on, you know, not just the legal aspects and stuff like that. So when you did the Instagram, no, the Telegram group last, Insta Booster Academy, I signed up, and I think it's a testimonial because it was from that class that an idea was birthed. I started something called Based on Logistics. That's the play with the word, rather than like
Nice.
law now.
Yeah. That's
So
really
what I do online
brilliant.
is for law students, I pick up topics about law and the other non-legal aspects, you know, and I just talk about it. But I didn't do the black and white thing. Yeah, I wanted to, but I said, let me stop there. So I have 3 questions very quickly. 3 questions. I hope you don't get to charge me for consultation. So the first question is this. How do you balance quality control and consistency? And this is what I mean. From, you know, you stated the story, and I like the fact that you like to hammer on it. That okay. All right. So you spoke about how you started and how you needed to, you know, borrow some things, and your videos were on black and white. So, and you know that sometimes takes some time to ensure that you throw out some level of quality. Sometimes it affects, speaking from my own angle, there are times when I shoot videos, I want to post, but I try to make sure the videos get to a certain level, at least a minimum. But it affects my consistency because I can't throw as many videos as I want to. So how do you strike the balance between, you know, quality control and then consistency? Then the second thing, Jesse, please permit me. All right.
Okay.
Very quickly.
Okay.
The second question is this: when you have multiple things to do, for instance, besides talking with law students, I like to speak on general issues, and so how do I try not to dilute my message so that those that it's intended to get to it? Then the last question is on the issue of community. You're a proponent of community building, and so but there are times when you try to, you know, you have a following already, like there are certain law students that want to listen and want to, but their level of engagement on social media is not as you want it to be. For instance, you give a CTA now. For instance, you come online and you type something and you say, okay, so guys, tell me your stories. And you have 1 or 2 persons, and what they're doing is like word, you know. You know, they're like, Sam, this is great content, but I just asked a question, like, tell me your own stories, right? So how do you then, for instance, you ask a question and no one answers, you know, it happens sometimes. Then the day you don't even ask a question, they're throwing in comments. How do you learn to, you know, without forcing it, build that community and maybe ride the wave? Thank you.
Okay, no, so you can answer. Please, next person. We'll just see how we can just gather the questions so that you answer at once. Okay.
Okay, real quick, your first question was balance between quality control and consistency. A lot of times it's difficult to balance both. Most of the creators who are able to do both normally have a team. right? And if you see somebody who's putting high quality videos out every week, MKBHD, people like that, there's like 5 people working on that, man. Like, it's difficult. I also had this problem. What I did was, on some level, I had to reduce the barrier to creation for myself. That's so important. So if you follow me, so you've seen that sometimes I'll put a screenshot of a tweet. Before, I would have created that in Canva and post like, one day I just woke up, I'm like, what the hell? Right? And I just started taking screenshots of tweets. It works. It still passes across the message. Now, one of the reasons why I don't need to like create stuff, I'm not a designer. There's no need for me to show my designing skills. If you're a designer, you probably should not. If you're a designer and you're trying to get clients via Instagram, you probably should not post screenshots of tweets, because you want to use every opportunity to show off your design muscles. But I don't have any design muscles to show off. The only muscles I have to show off is my communication muscles. And screenshots of tweets was doing that for me. So on some level, it's important for you to reduce the barrier to creation for yourself if you're going to create consistently. Otherwise, you're going to be in a position where you're constantly procrastinating. And that thing of perfection sometimes is just, you need to put out content even when you don't like it, because you're not the judge of what is good or not. Sometimes there's content I've put out and I thought it was the stuff that I wanted to delete. Sometimes I'll make a whole video, I spend 3 hours, 4 hours, and I delete it because I hate it. And then there's once in a while where I like hate it, but I'm like, make I just post that. Then I needed it, people will come in the comment section. You know, I'm like, thank God I posted. Anyway, right? So your second question, how to not dilute your messages because you're trying to reach out to a lot of people. So it's important for you to do what makes you happy, right? As many things as you can do as make you happy. Do everything. But I've noticed that you can, but you should not do multiple things at the same level of intensity at the same time. You're very likely to not succeed in any of them. Do you understand? So it's important to like compartmentalize and know that, okay, this is when I'm spending doing this thing. Which of them makes me money? Which of them do I do because I'm happy? Which of them do I do because it helps me connect with other of my colleagues? You know, stuff like that. There's stuff that you don't have to put out all the time. There's stuff that you need to invest because it makes you a fuller version of the thing you are to the public. I don't know if that makes sense. Because when you were talking about legal, you talked about some non-legal aspects that you talk about. So yeah, so do everything, but understand that you shouldn't do everything at the same time with the same level of intensity. Yeah.
Yeah, just a quick comment on quality and quantity. I heard a story about a people that was teaching photography. I don't know who has heard this before. But as he gave them assignments and said he was going to, the exam was, at the end of the semester he was going to mark it, and he grouped the class into 2 groups. Group A, he told them to just submit the perfect photograph. I need a perfect photograph at the end of the semester. And the second group, he told them, take as many pictures as you can and submit the perfect photograph at the end of the semester. Who do you think passed? Group B. And that's because Group A, they spent time theorizing and learning about everything. I was about to say isotopes. He's so disappointed in me. ISO. Learning about exposure and whatever. They were not that those things are terrible, but that's all they were learning, the theory. Do you understand? And any photographer here or any creative will tell you that they learned from doing. You understand? They learned from just churning out stuff. So I would say for anyone starting out, honestly, it's quality. There's a video of MKBHD's first video from 9 or 10 years ago. His first video online. Okay, so some people don't know who MKBHD is. He's a tech vlogger, tech YouTuber. His first video is crap. But now he uploads 8K videos. Who watches 8K videos? You know. So who has questions again? So, oh,
So final question. You said if you're not getting responses, I think I can connect that to what Jesse was just saying about the fact that you learn from doing. So you're not only posting because of responses. You're posting because one day there's somebody who has been looking for someone like you on the internet. One day they are going to bump into your page. There needs to be enough content that will keep them there for an hour. Do you get? If you're not posting, there's nothing there. Maybe they would like you, but there's nothing there to make them know that they would like you. So just keep putting out responses, no responses, just keep putting out. You're doing it for you, not just for them. Yeah.
awesome. All right. Who else? So Lawrence, who else? Anyone?
Hi, good evening.
Okay.
Well, my name is Lawrence, yeah. And, well, just curious, really.
What you do?
Sorry?
Sir? What do you do?
So, okay, I'm a freelance web developer.
Okay.
So I was just thinking, yeah, I understand when things eventually, like, became real to you, like, yo, this is, like, a full-time thing for you, right? Was there ever a time where you felt like you had to, like, do, like, I don't know, I feel like social media is too overwhelming. I'm not a social media person, but was there a time where you felt like you have to put, like, a week content, like calendar and stuff, and you just chill and you're like, okay, automatically it's going to go out. I have like 1 month content there, I'll just chill. And I don't know, because it seems like there's always expectation from people. Like when you get there now, people expect to see like stuff, and they expect to see stuff like frequently. So was there a time in your life, I mean for you, for your creative process, wherever you felt like, okay, I should have like, it's more like a cheat basically, let me have like 1 week content and I'll just chill? And
Yeah, you're saying was there a time as if that's not my daily life. Yeah, that's like always, fam. I always advise creators to batch create. I'll be lying if I said I always batch create. But when I do, it really helps, right? Because you're not always on a creative high. You're not always as inspired and motivated as you want to be, right? So if you say, oh, I'm going to make a video every day of this week, one of the days of the week, you wake up with stomach pain, right? And you'll be like, I don't want the pain to show in the video, so I'm not going to make the video. You know, so sometimes batch creating really helps. Like in the weekend, making your videos for the week and scheduling them or setting reminders to post them by yourself, that really helps. So if that's, did I answer your question? Yeah, I highly recommend that. I do it too.
All right. Thank you, everyone that asked. Salem, if you were to, what would your final thoughts, final words be for anybody here? Just encourage someone, motivate your final, yeah.
So what came to my mind is that tweet.
Which one?
If you like. If you like, you know. Okay, but I'm not that guy, at least not publicly.
But that it was your first thoughts, though.
No, it just reminded me.
It says a lot.
I care about people.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess I would say take your time.
Yeah.
I really like that I am here. I think I should say it at this point. I've been to maybe 6 or 7 campfires, and I'm always like sat at the back and just taking in. This is supposed to be like an aspire to aspire moment for everybody. So I started from the bottom, basically.
Come on.
I'm here, and I like that I am here because a lot of people who have been sitting here are people who have gone very far in their careers. I still feel like I'm in the early stages of my career. You know, I've only been doing this for 2 years. 2 years is not a lot of time on the grand scheme of things. I am 25 years old, and something I strongly believe is we shouldn't only listen to success stories, we should listen to progress stories. Yeah, like, it's like progress story over success story. You can only tell a success story as a success, but at any point, and because you can only tell a success story as a success, there's so many of us feeling like we don't have a story to tell, because we don't have a started from the bottom, now we hear story, right? Because we don't have a back when I was Tokyo story, you know, which is weird because like when was Davido broke?
Do you get? Do you understand?
But like we all feel like we need to. These lyrics, they shouldn't be getting away
Wait,
with
is it the same song that he said his this son Omar Baba? Is that the
No,
same
that
song?
was his next song.
Anyway,
We'll get back to it.
yeah.
Anyway, I lost my train of thought.
You started from the bottom, progress
Yeah.
stories.
So progress story over success story, and like I'm here now not because I'm here to like tell everybody how I made it. I'm just here to talk about how I am getting by, and how I am learning to enjoy where I am on the way to where I am going, and how that everyone can do that in their own space. So yeah, I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and you guys are really lucky.
We are, honestly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you please put your hands together for Salem King, Ibrahim. Thank you very, very much. I think I'm honestly really grateful as well for sharing your story, sharing your philosophy and your behind your process and your progress. I'm really looking forward to. I forgot to ask you one question. I also ask about moonshots or tattoos. I know not everybody makes, but I think they are important. You understand? Especially when I think of them in line of moonshots. So this will be the final thing, then we're out of here, if you have. So moonshots basically are 10-year plans or goals, ambitions, and it was inspired by the original moonshot. So in, I think 1960 or 61, JFK, who was the president of the US, said by the end of this decade we are going to put a man on the moon. And he galvanized the whole country, and they put a man on the moon. So Google actually has a company dedicated for moonshots. So it's just a lab dedicated to just ambitious goals, like I can't remember any, but ambitious stuff. So do you have anything? Do you think of stuff like that?
Yeah.
10 years down the line, what I want Salem King to be.
Yeah. So, if when people ask you where do you see yourself in 10 years, like I don't have any answer to that. I don't know. I just know that I'm going to be filthy rich and stuff. But that's not it. But for the most part, what I want to do is, the problem I want to solve is, I want to help creators find their value, to deploy that value into the world, and to build thriving, daring careers for themselves as creators. Because in Nigeria, a lot of creators are still, me inclusive, right? Like there's still a lot of things that aren't going well, not because you're not working, it's because the system is just not set up to help you prosper. So like you're doing twice the work, and then you interact with other creators from other countries, and you see how much they charge for the same thing you're doing. Maybe you're even doing twice the work. So my big dream is to create, an ecosystem for Nigerian creators and for African creators to be able to compete globally, and for the guy in Kaduna to be able to work with a guy in Johannesburg, for the chap in Ebonyi to work with somebody in Iceland and get paid just as much. One of the things that 2020 taught me was the fact that Nigerian talents can actually compete globally. Before, I thought, I'm not going to admit this if you say I said it, but I actually thought like everything about us was third world. Until 2020, I realized no, like why not? We can actually compete. So my vision is to give creators that platform. That's something we're already doing with the Booster Academy. Started last year in the pandemic, and this year we're continuing.
All right. Thank you very much, Salem. God bless. Please, one last time, can you just appreciate? Okay, I just want to appreciate Ivon Innovation Hub for giving us their space as well, and MacForce Multimedia for streaming and documenting this. So thank you. You can contact Ivon. It's an innovation hub. They give out spaces for work and internet, and they have other programs that they are running. and Mark Force is a multimedia genius. So please contact them if you have any of those things. And I remain my humble self, as we say, as politicians say. My name is Jesse Dan-Yusuf, and I curator of Campfire and the chief creative officer of Fireworks. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Have an amazing weekend, and thank you for attending the very first Campfire 2021 AC. So see you next month. AC is after Corona, in case you didn't know. Yeah, AV after vaccine. Not everybody else. Okay, so have an amazing weekend. Like I said, please, Campfire is not just so that we can listen. Please meet other people. You really don't know where it may lead to. Wink, wink. Bye, guys.